Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everyone doing this morning? This is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. I'm evidential medium Stacy Needenthal, and this is a time where we all come together and we talk about things that maybe you're not so comfortable in talking about. We talk about mindfulness and becoming the best version of you. If this is the first time that you've been on, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. And if you've come back several times, I'm so glad that you're here. I hope that you can hear me. I've had some issues with my mic last night, but I'm hoping that I got that figured out and fixed. I'm just trying to pull something up here for a second. There we go. I think I have it now. There we go. It's kind of crazy, all this technology stuff. I just want to be able to see your comments now. So say hello. Let me know that you're here. If this is the first time you've been on, like I said, welcome. Welcome. Sorry, I'm kind of restarting it. Not sure. There we go. Now I can see it. Good morning. Good morning. There I see a few comments. So Tuesday is our day at 10:30 to talk about things that maybe you're not comfortable in talking to other people about. And like I said, we cover various topics: mediumship readings, grief, meditation, um, awakening, and just things that are within our energy, but our mind and our energy just don't always seem to click. But this is your safe space. And I invite you at this time to connect with your higher self. And if you would please, if you can hear me fine, put yes in the comments. Like I said, I was having problems last night with this microphone. When we're sitting in this space, there's nothing for you to prove. There's no judgment. I just want your heart to be open and allow the words that come across to fall on your ears, if those are the words that you need. So our spiritual focus and our theme, great, thank you, Leslie. Our theme for March has been renewal and expansion, awakening and rebirth. And today we're going to focus on spiritual studies. This year I'm facilitating our third annual Only a Whisper Away women's retreat. And it's all going to be themed under the adventures of Through the Looking Glass. Let me explain. So on the surface, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland read like this children's fairy tale. And during the retreat, we're going to venture beneath the playful characters and that dreamlike chaos. Because what lies beneath the chaos can be profound. And this is a story that many of you know has been written by Lewis Carroll. And the story mirrors the spiritual awakening journey in a beautiful and symbolic way. If you really look at the symbolism of Alice in Wonderland and really think about how prophetic it is, I'm sure that you will agree. So Alice fell down the rabbit hole reflects the moment that we begin to question reality, identity, the world as we knew it, the things that we have been taught and that we have learned. And it's a plunge into the unknown or the subconscious mind for an unexpected departure from the familiar, from the everyday reality. What seems like nonsense actually is transformation. The soul is learning to trust its intuition, release the fear, and rediscover their true self. So a couple years ago, most of you have heard this story before, my life was turning upside down, inside out, all over the place. I was dealing with anxiety and depression. I couldn't make my own decisions. But what helped me to grab a hold of healing was focusing on the point that Alice had to fall down a very deep, dark hole in order to find her wonderland. That's how I described the battle that I had with anxiety and depression. That was that deep, dark hole that I fell down into. I thought I was schizophrenic or losing my mind. And there's actually a quote that I use quite a bit too. It says, "I'm afraid so. You're entirely bonkers. But I'll tell you a secret. The best people are." That was like Alice's soul awakening path. It was transformation from the rigid, conditioned worldview to enter into a more awakened state of consciousness. How many of you feel like there is this shift within you, that something is changing, that your path in the way that you normally would see things is now changing? So during the retreat, we're going to compare Alice in Wonderland and the Looking Glass. So awakening begins with curiosity. Who in the world am I? That's the great puzzle. And that's from chapter 2 of and Alice was wondering who she was. Do you wonder? Do you wonder what your soul path is? Do you wonder where it's leading you, what you're becoming? What you are capable of becoming? Some of the things that we're going to examine during the retreat is identity and resolving from what we've grown into believe that we need to be. Reality is more flexible than what we think. Guidance appears when we need it. Fear loses power when it's seen in clarity. And the journey is inward, it's not outward. So when I say about fear loses power when it's seen with clarity, when I got to the point while dealing with all the nonsense that was going on in my body, I was afraid of everything. But once I stood strong and said, listen, I am not going to deal with this for the rest of my life. I'm Alice. I just fell down a hole right now, but I'm searching for Wonderland. And when you think about the Looking Glass, the spirituality of all of it is waking up from the illusion. Waking up from what the world has taught us, even if our gut tells us something different. It's reclaiming your own personal power and realizing you were never really trapped. You were just going with the flow. You were just going with what seemed right at the time. So I want to talk about the characters and the archetypes of what these powerful characters represent. So I do have the symbolisms, and I want you to listen to them and see which character you resonate with. Which part of the path are you on? So see how they align with you. So the rabbit, the white rabbit, right? He's the awakener. And the white rabbit symbolizes intuition and timing and inner calling. She's that voice in you that whispers, it's time. The white rabbit represents that inner nudge that pulls you towards change, the spark, the curiosity, the sense that there is something more waiting for you. That voice is urgent, but not panicked. There's movement without chaos. And the reminder that your soul timing is always on the right time. That's the white rabbit. She asks, what is calling me forward right now? And then you have the Mad Hatter. He's the creative rebel. He symbolizes imagination, authenticity, breaking the rules. The Mad Hatter embodies the wild, unfiltered creativity inside of everyone. This is the voice, this is the part of you that colors outside of the lines. You question the shoulds and the should nots and find the freedom to be unconventional, to stand out in the crowd, to not be part of status quo. The Mad Hatter teaches that healing doesn't always necessarily have to be serious. It can be playful, it can be expressive, and delightfully weird. Is your inner voice asking you, where have you playing that you don't fit, or that you don't fit in? The next character we're going to talk about is the caterpillar. And the caterpillar, of course, is the transformer. And the transformer represents growth and identity, evolution of the caterpillar. This is the archetype of becoming, the sacred in-between. And this character represents that version of you that is shedding old identities, old beliefs, old patterns. This is the voice that reminds you that transformation is not instant. It's slow, it's sacred, and it's unraveling. This is the voice inside of you that says, who are you becoming when no one is watching? That's the key. When no one is watching, when you're not performing for anyone, when you don't feel like you have to be a certain person for someone. Who are you becoming when no one is watching? That's the caterpillar. Or do you associate with the Queen of Hearts, the boundary keeper? She symbolizes power and sovereignty, self-worth, often misunderstood. The Queen of Hearts symbolizes fierce boundaries and is unapologetic for self-ownership. She's that part of you that says no with clarity and yes with conviction, and refuses to shrink for anyone. She teaches that claiming your throne is an act of self-love. The Queen of Hearts is that voice inside of you that may be asking, where do you need to reclaim your power? Any of these resonating yet? Put it in the comments if one of these is resonating. And then we can't forget Alice. Alice is the seeker. And this symbolizes curiosity and courage and self-discovery. Alice is at the heart of the journey. The woman who dares to wonder. She represents innocence and bravery and the willingness to question everything. She's that part of you that steps into the unknown, even if it feels uncomfortable. This is the voice inside of you that says, what truth are you ready to explore? Interesting, right? And then we have the looking glass, the inner mirror. And this represents reflection and truth and clarity. And I know that the looking glass really isn't a character, but it's a powerful, powerful symbol. The looking glass represents that moment when you see yourself clearly. Your patterns, your desires, your wounds, and your brilliance. And this is the voice that invites you to witness yourself without judgment. We're getting judged enough by everybody that sees us. Why judge ourselves? This is the voice that says, what is being reflected back to you now? What are you seeing within yourself? What lessons have you learned? Where was I? Where am I going? Where am I now? And the Cheshire Cat. The Cheshire Cat is the intuitive guide, which I love. The Cheshire Cat represents the intuitive guide. Because the Cheshire Cat represents mystery and trust and inner wisdom. The Cheshire Cat's voice of intuition, although it may be cryptic and playful and always right, this responds to part of you that knows even if your path is unclear, it's still your path. This is the voice that teaches you to trust and to surrender, and then the magic of following your inner compass. It's there. This is the voice that says, what does your intuition already know? What's your gut telling you? They all resonate. Awesome. And then we have the Garden of Flowers. Painting the roses red. The sisterhood. It symbolizes the community, the connection, the shared wisdom. This represents the collective. The people who surround you, who support you, and help you to bloom. It symbolizes the healing and having the community where every voice matters and every story has its place. This is the inner voice that says, who helps you grow? Now, when you look at all these different characters and all these symbols, is it any wonder that this is what my women's retreat is going to be based around? During this, we will go down the rabbit hole in a journey back to self. A feminine initiation into curiosity and remembrance and soul alignment. Have you ever thought that maybe getting lost was the universe's way of telling you it's time to change direction? Some of the discussions and activities that we'll be working on are going to all be based around this. And we're going to look at our zodiac sign in comparison with the characters so that you know if you are a Mad Hatter or an Alice or a White Rabbit. The women's retreat's going to be awesome. Some of the classes, some of the it's not really networking, exercises, activities that we're going to be doing, and of course, they all have a theme. The rooms all have themes. So we're going to talk about what is going down the rabbit hole. It's the awakening. And it's going to be themed around the call for change. Curiosity, surrender, and trust. We're going to do open meditations of what's calling you. And then we're going to journal, where have you been asleep? What have you not been noticing? We'll do some breath work to release the control of our mind, to allow our intuition to blossom. We're going to talk about releasing the old identity. That's under the Drink Me category. And that's going to be themed around the shrinking of the ego, of who you think you are and who you need to be and who you want to be. We're going to do shadow work and journaling, mirror affirmations. We're going to have ceremony type, releasing the labels and the roles and the expectations. Of course, there'll be a tea party. We'll be doing all different types of exercises with that. We're going to have a class on stepping into your power. That's under the Eat Me category, because that's themed around expansion, taking in, nourishing, claiming and creating your sacred space, your worth, and your voice. This is going to be a fun class. Embodied movement and a goddess dance. We're going to activate the solar plexus and have some creative workshops. And then the caterpillar. This will be a class on who are you? Identity and transformation. That spiritual focus of your soul remembrance. Activating the third eye. We'll have guided soul inquiry, chakra alignment, oracle card readings, oracle card practices, and journaling. Who am I becoming? And it wouldn't be an Alice in Wonderland themed retreat if we didn't have a mad tea party. The sacred sisterhood, focusing on being present and laughter and authenticity. Things will be whimsical. Maybe we'll dress up. Who knows? We're going to have a circle sharing with a no fixing rule. Conversations about releasing perfection, self-love. We're going to have a class based on the Cheshire Cat, your intuition and your inner guidance, doing intuitive development and exercises. Last year, I blindfolded everyone and put different stones and crystals in their hands so they could feel the energy. We'll be doing something very similar to that as well. A blindfolded trust walk and stones. We're going to talk about symbolisms and signs and interpretations. Guided meditations to follow your gut, not the map. And then we'll have the Queen of Hearts class. Based on healing the authority around you and setting boundaries. Who told you that you couldn't have boundaries? So we're going to talk about boundary setting, healing anger and suppressed rage, cord cutting. We're going to embody ourselves to the point that we can reclaim our own personal power. Do you know your voice is your medicine? Think about that. You're teaching others how to treat you by the way you speak. If you speak bitter, it's bitter. So we're going to reclaim personal power and gain the voice. We're going to do alignment and integration, and that's going to be under the garden. And we're going to do some natural grounding rituals, exercises, do a final integration meditation. And I wanted to put in there a commitment ceremony where you're committing to yourself to care for yourself, to not be what other people think that you need to be, but finding your authentic self. Planting seeds as a symbol of alignment. And then we'll have the closing ceremony where, you know what? You're the queen. This is your throne. Each woman, each person will speak their truth of who she is owning now. When I work on these retreats, when I put them together, I want to make sure I'm touching each different aspect of spiritual growth. Not everyone is a medium. Not everyone is a Reiki healer. Not everyone does energy. Not everyone reads cards. Not every, it's for everyone. And I want you to try a taste of each and see what clicks with you. But the biggest outcome that I want you to have is to know it is okay to show yourself self-love and to be unique and not judge yourself for who you are. I'm going to quote Alice and the Mad Hatter, and Alice says, "This is impossible." And the Mad Hatter says, "Only if you believe it is." What do you believe is possible for your path? 13 years ago, I had no idea that this was going to be my path. I had no idea that I would be surrounded by spirit, knowing who I am and comfortable with that, and not worried about what the world is saying about what I do. I don't have to defend who I am anymore. Because when I look in the mirror, I see the person that I was, the person that I am, and the person that I'm becoming. And maybe I am a little bit bonkers, but you know what? The best people are. So if you're feeling the nudge to come to Wonderland with us, you can go to the website under retreats. I think it's under events and then retreats. Click on it and find out about it. Or you know what? DM me and I will send you the link. We've had great experiences the last 2 years. And I have seen miraculous things that the participants are able to do that they didn't think that they would be able to do. But when we sat in a sacred space together without judgment, and they tried, they succeeded. Because unlike Alice, it wasn't impossible. You have to believe it is possible. So the Wonderland inspired women's retreat in October is a mixture of spirituality and creativity and sisterhood to help you realign and discover yourself, just like Alice did. We'll shift habits. We'll build on intuitive spiritual practices and see who you are becoming. Expect to come and laugh and have deep reflections, movement that may seem surreal yet grounding and almost magical. This is the space to soften, to open, and to remember your inner wisdom. Curiouser and curiouser. So who wants to come along on the women's retreat and go down the rabbit hole in a positive way? It annoys me that that's a statement a lot of people are using now. But we're going in October. We're sharing a house. We're in the middle of nowhere, but it's this big, beautiful house. And we're going to work on dissolving the things that we have learned so that we can move into the reality of who we are becoming. What character? What symbolizes who you are and where you're at? Are you the White Rabbit? The Awakener? Are you the Mad Hatter? The Creative Rebel? Maybe the Caterpillar? The Transformer? The Queen of Hearts? The Boundary Keeper? Alice, the Seeker? The Looking Glass? The Inner Mirror? The Cheshire Cat? The Intuitive Guide? Or maybe you're a part of the flowers in the garden and want to be part of the sisterhood. Community comes together and we grow together when we sit in a safe space and allow the energy of fellow sisters that are sitting with us to cheer us on instead of saying, you can't do that. What are you doing? You will grow. You will laugh. You will cry. Last year I had a woman after we did a meditation. I'm like, so how do you feel? And she goes, I'm pissed. I'm like, what are you pissed about? I'm pissed at you. I thought I was through all that stuff and you brought it all back. Were they the same feelings? No, it's different. So there were other things in that shadow work that were hiding, that bubbled up, and we worked through them. So the rooms are selling very quickly. If you want to be a part of it, go to connectingtospiritwithstacy.com, click under events. go under the retreat where it says click me, click it, look at it, and join us, if you will. We're going to have such a magical time, and I am so looking forward to going. Not that I want October to be here, because it's just now starting to get warm, except for today. But God bless y'all. I'm so glad that you all sat with me today. Allow me to talk to you about the Women's Retreat, about Alice in Wonderland, about the spiritual transformation that fallen in a deep, dark hole is just a change of direction. All right, guys. I will see you next week, Tuesday. I believe today's the last Tuesday of the month. Good grief. I don't know. Yeah? I don't know. Doesn't matter. But I will talk to you soon, and have a magical day. Of course, as always, I pray that you are curious enough to live the life you love and love the life you live. Goodbye.